Hello everyone and welcome back to today's lecture on string functions. Learning about different methods of string function and becoming versatile with it makes our lives a lot easier at work. The efficient use of different kind of string functions comes really handy when you're working on an SQL based project. So without any further delay, let's get started with today's agenda. So I'm on my PG admin tool, and for this lecture I'm going to use this customer table, which is a part of our DVD rental database. And this customer table has these many columns like customer ID, store ID, first name, last name, email, address ID, etc. And let's try to grab these two columns from the table. So I would say select first name and last name from the customer table. If I'll select and execute, we will get these two columns. And now let's try to add one more column by concatenating these two columns. So I'll say first name, then I'll use this pipe operator to concatenate the other column, which is last name, and I'm creating an alias as full name. So I'm saying give me the first name and last name, and concatenating both the columns with the help of this pipe operator, create a new column and name it as full name. If I'll select this code and hit execute, so we will get a new column, this full name, which has the values concatenating the values from previous two columns. But if you pay attention, we do not have any space separating the first name and last name. So we can add that over here by adding one more pipe operator, and between the first name and last name, we will add a string containing a space value, which means I want to keep a space between the first name and last name. And if I'll execute it again, then you can see in the full name column, the first name and last name has been separated with a space. And you don't need to necessarily use a space over here. You can also use a hyphen if you want, or any character that you want to include. And if you'll execute it, it will rearrange the values accordingly. For the time being, I'll keep it as a space. So this was an example of how do we concatenate two different columns and then set it as a new column. Now let's say in the full name column, I want to keep the first name and last name in uppercase. All I need to do is I need to pass the full name within this upper function, and I'll do the same with the last name as well. And if I'll execute it, the values in the full name column will be changed to uppercase, as you can see. In the customer table, we already have this email column, but let's try to create one more email column, a custom email, and the format for the email will be last name, first name @pivotpoint.com. Let's go ahead and see how do we create that. So I'm saying select, then I'll apply the lower function on the last name, then I will use this pipe operator to concatenate this value with first name, and before applying the first name, I'll first pass it down to this lower function, then I'll again use this pipe operator, and then I will concatenate it with the string @pivotpoint.com. and I need to tell SQL that I need all these functions from the customer table. To enhance the readability, I am passing it to the next line. And let's not forget to create an alias for this new email. So I'll create it as custom email. Let's select and try to execute this. And we got it. Let's say after this first name and last name concatenation, I also want to add the customer ID. All you need to do is over here, you can add one more pipe operator, and in the middle you need to mention the customer ID. Let's execute this one. And I got my results accordingly. And this is how we play around with the functions based on string. And the possibilities are endless when we talk about leveraging the advantages of a string function. You can explore it by yourself doing a Google search of string function on PostgreSQL, and you need to look for this link from the PostgreSQL documentation. If you will go to this page, it will provide you this nice documentation on different kind of string function, and that also with a very good explanation. So as you can see, we have already seen this when we try to concatenate a string with another string using this pipe operator, then it will return a value that will be a text type, which is a varchar. As a description, this function is doing a string concatenation, and you also get an example. Like if we try to concatenate post with GraysQL, we will get PostgreSQL in final output. It is as simple as that. So I leave it up to you to play around with these functions like upper, substring, lower, to gain confidence with string functions in SQL. So that is all for today's lecture. This was a quick video on string function. In the upcoming lectures, we are going to cover more advanced topics, and then we will slowly move over to Windows function and our discussions on interview question and answer for SQL. I would suggest that you watch all the videos within this playlist in the sequence by which we are uploading the tutorials, and also subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified every time we are uploading a new lecture. Thank you very much for your time today. See you in the next lecture.